Since the beginning of time, philosophers and scientists alike have explored the universal question, what happens when you die?
After a person dies, comes to the experience of connecting himself to God, based on how much work he did in this world to connect himself to God. And the more a person works in this world to be close to God, the closer he is to God in the world to come.
Alan Rosenow, who's a pastor at Shepherd of the Desert Lutheran Church, says it's clearly explained in the scriptures.
What we as Christians would say is that the soul of one who was a believer in Jesus Christ goes immediately into the presence of Christ, where he is, and we usually refer to that as heaven.
Life after death, psychic phenomena, and grieving the loss of a loved one are all topics covered in local Scottsdale resident Mark Ireland's new book.
It's essentially a combination of different things. It's a book that deals with the trauma of a parent losing a child, but it also goes a step beyond in terms of exploring questions about life, death, and life after death.
Mark says it's his belief we live in a multidimensional world.
We have a physical self that lives and exists in this world to experience things that are of this type of a realm. But there's another aspect to us that is a spiritual one that channels its consciousness through our physical being while we're here. Our physical body dies, our consciousness is shifted, or its focus is shifted to our spiritual being, which survives the death process.
He explained that he wrote the book as a therapeutic exercise after his youngest son, Brandon, passed away while hiking in the McDowell Mountains in North Scottsdale.
I wanted to preserve Brandon's legacy, my son, but I also wanted to preserve the legacy of my father, Dr. Richard Ireland, for the pioneering work he had done in the area of psychic phenomena.
Soul shift is not short of what some might call unexplainable experiences and validating confirmations.
My wife actually had we would call it a visitation of our son Brandon after his passing, saw him as a shadow figure to her side and felt his presence. And then the very next day we got a phone call from another friend who reported an almost identical incident.
The book has an appeal that reaches beyond the typical New Age book and raises some interesting points for both believers and skeptics. Most
of all, it's a book that was intended to provide healing for people in grief, people going through the loss of a loved one. It's one of the toughest things that any of us can face in life, and so far I found that it has provided that benefit to people.
For the Cronkite School, I'm Liz Rowe.